Hello. How is everyone doing today? It's great to be back here with you. I have went on a long, much needed hiatus due to taking care of my now 4-month-old family first, right? Thanks for being patient. Let's get right into it. You saw the title of this video. Thanks for clicking. Election time is coming up quickly. We're less than 60 days away, ladies and gentlemen. I wanted to analyze some of the most egregious claims that I could find on the internet that Trump is a racist. Most of the time when I ask people who believe Trump is a racist, and honestly, it's pretty sad, people do not even know why they think he's a racist. If you are one of those people, then this video might help you out. This isn't even a defense for Trump. This is a video about logic and reasoning though. I mean, if you honestly say you hate or dislike someone and you don't know why, you might have to take a step back and look at yourself, because you may be the one that has some hidden anger. You have to analyze yourself to overcome this. If someone asks me why I think someone is racist, which is probably one of the most harsh moral charges you can make about someone, believe me, I will be able to tell you why I think so. First, it's only right that we start off with what the definition of racism is. Racism is the belief that race accounts for differences in human character or ability, and that a particular race is superior to others. And to add on to that, what is race? Race is a group of people identified as distinct from other groups because of supposed physical or genetic traits shared by the group. Okay, now that we have these definitions, let's examine the claims I found on the internet from people who have the answer on why they think Trump is racist. We're going to examine some of the most egregiously racist claims that the media says Trump has committed. CNN reported Trump believes the judge presiding over Trump University fraud cases is biased, and there's a conflict of interest due to his, quote, Mexican heritage. Is it true that he said this? Yes. But let's watch this video to get to the bottom of it.
I have had ruling after ruling after ruling that's been bad rulings, okay? I've been treated very unfairly. Before him, we had another judge. If that judge was still there, this case would have been over 2 years ago. Let me just tell you, I have had horrible rulings. I've been treated very unfairly by this judge. Now, this judge is of Mexican heritage. I'm building a wall, okay? I'm building a wall. I am going to do very well with the Hispanic. He's a member of a society where, very pro-Mexico, and that's fine. It's all fine. But I think he should recuse himself.
After watching that video, it's easy to see why Trump thinks that someone's heritage might impede them from doing what is just and fair. It's because Trump is a hardcore nationalist. He loves America. He thinks this judge might have more allegiance potentially to Mexico than he does to America. Trump is being tough on Mexico by trying to hinder undocumented immigrants from coming into the country, to curb drugs, violence, and human trafficking coming from the southern border, among other places. Maybe this judge sides with them over Trump. Anyways, that's how Trump feels about the situation, along with this judge always ruling against him in other cases. He makes this clear. You remember the definition of racism. This isn't racism. Let's not change definitions to make them mean what we want them to mean. This is my favorite one to debunk, mainly because I've heard it so many times, the comments made in relation to the violence that happened in Charlottesville, Virginia, because of that Confederate statue. If you haven't heard it directly, but you've heard the news, politicians or friends say something about it, you probably heard something along the lines of Trump said there were, quote, fine people when referring to neo-Nazis and white supremacists. That could not be farther from the truth. Let's look at what he actually said.
And you had some very bad people in that group, but you also had people that were very fine people on both sides. You had people in that group, excuse me, I saw the same pictures as you did. You had people in that group that were there to protest the taking down of, to them, a very, very important statue and the renaming of a park from Robert E. Lee to another name. And you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. And I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay? And the press has treated them absolutely unfairly. Now, in the other group also, you had some fine people, but you also had troublemakers, and you see them come with the black outfits and with the helmets and with the baseball bats. You had a lot of bad people in the other group too.
Treated unfairly, sir. I'm sorry, I just didn't understand what you were saying. You were saying the press has treated white nationalists unfairly? No. I just didn't understand what you were saying.
Now take a second to digest that video. Who are the fine people Donald Trump is referring to? He's talking about the people on both sides of either keeping or removing the statue, protesting peacefully in opposition to one another. If that's not enough, he condemns white supremacists and neo-Nazis in his speech. Lastly, if all that doesn't get through to someone's hatred for Trump, Trump's daughter and grandchildren are quite literally Orthodox Jews. The Central Park Five was a group of 5 black teens that allegedly, at the time of their arrest, brutally assaulted and raped, or were involved in the rape of a woman named Trisha Maley at Central Park in New York City. Now, before we go any further, I want you to picture an innocent woman going on a jog, and on that jog being stopped, beaten to a pulp, and brutally raped. How would you feel knowing that happened to someone in your town or city? Now, the perpetrators involved in this heinous crime admitted their guilt. What would you want done? If that's the information you have at the time. Think about that. Speaking for myself, the first thing that would come to my mind if that happened to an innocent person is I want the worst to come to that person. I want them to rot in prison. A completely innocent person? I don't care what their color is. Black, white, Hispanic, Native American. We're talking about someone completely innocent. That is what Donald Trump wanted when he first heard of these arrests, spending more than $84,000 putting ads in the newspaper wanting the death penalty. Brought back for harming this innocent woman. Now, let's be clear. He never mentioned the Central Park Five. That's just the truth. Is he wrong or right for wanting the death penalty for someone that hurt that innocent woman? It's debatable for sure, but nonetheless, this does not make him racist. I'm black. I love black people. I love all people. I want some form of retribution. I love people with good character. Their skin color means absolutely zero to me. Maybe someone can argue I'm being harsh for wanting the worst for an individual who committed that crime, but I think if that person is living near me, that type of person, that victim could have easily been my wife, my daughter, my neighbor. I don't want these type of people with that type of behavior near me. Finally, in that ad, Trump doesn't mention the skin color of these suspects. What I get from reading this ad in full, and you can read it yourself too, and I recommend that you do, is whoever the hell did this to this woman needs to be punished severely. Trump later went on to say this.
Why do you bring that question up now? It's an interesting time to bring it up. You have people on both sides of that. They admitted their guilt. If you look at Linda Fairstein and if you look at some of the prosecutors, they think that the city should never have settled that case. So we'll leave it at that.
Now, if you watch the new Netflix series called When They See Us, which depicts the story of the Central Park Five, a different picture is painted from what actually occurred, according to the lead investigator, Eric Reynolds, who is black, for the record. One of the lies he points out is the prosecutor on the case, this is the movie, told the police department she wanted all black boys that were in Central Park the night of that crime to be brought in. Eric Reynolds stated that never happened.
Eric, thanks for being here. You watched the Netflix series and you thought what?
I watched the Netflix series and I was shocked. Okay, I actually laughed out loud when I saw the Felicity Huffman playing Linda Fairstein implore the police to go out and round up all black men in Harlem. I thought that was absolutely preposterous. It never happened. Linda Fairstein was never even in the precinct that day when the investigation was started, first of all. Second of all, the district attorney does not give orders to the police department. They do not direct our investigations. Our investigation was well underway once Linda Fairstein arrived at the Central Park precinct.
One of the falsehoods I can attest to personally is that Kevin Richardson, one of the Central Park Five, suffered a black eye in that movie, but that never happened in real life. And we have photographic evidence of that. Now, you have to wonder what narrative the movie was trying to spin when they made that up. I'll let you decide that. I don't want to put anything in your heads. Later, these Central Park Five were exonerated because the real rapist, Mateus Reyes, said that he committed the crime alone. DNA evidence linked him to the crime, which the same lead investigator disputed he could not have done it alone. Though the Central Park Five were not the ones who finished the rape, based on physical and medical evidence, Eric Reynolds and professionals in that matter stated there was no way Mateus could have done this rape alone. Last but definitely not least, Donald Trump's claim that all Mexicans are rapists. Wait, did he actually say that? Well, not quite.
When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're not sending you. They're not sending you. They're sending people that have lots of problems, and they're bringing those problems with us. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people. But I speak to border guards, and they tell us what we're getting. And it only makes common sense. It only makes common sense. They're sending us not the right people. It's coming from more than Mexico. It's coming from all over South and Latin America, and it's coming probably from the Middle East. But we don't know, because we have no protection, and we have no competence. We don't know what's happening. And it's got to stop, and it's got to stop fast.
When he's speaking about this, it's important to know that he's speaking about illegal immigrants, undocumented people. Illegal meaning coming into the country illegally to bring in drugs, human trafficking, maybe to find a job. This is happening. Of course, there are illegal immigrants that want to come here for a better life too. In fact, I'm going to be really biased here, and I want to say that I think most people come here for a better life. But the issue is when we don't know who's coming in the country, you can't really determine who's the good guy, who's the bad guy. Everyone has to be treated the same. Illegals have no records. They can do crimes without a trace significantly easier than people who live here. Some Mexicans are rapists. Some Americans are rapists. This is a true statement. Mexicans are bringing drugs. This issue isn't unique. And I'm not talking about Mexican Americans. I'm talking about Mexicans from the southern border, from other countries, illegal people. Of course, they're bringing drugs. I'm not making a huge generalization, okay? How else can you articulate an issue that you're having at the southern border without invoking the name of the country? You tell me. And don't you know, Trump loves Mexicans. Okay, hey, maybe he was pandering, but you know it's definitely pandering.
What's something that you always carry with you?
Hot sauce.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you getting information right now?
Hot sauce.
Hot sauce in my bag, swag?
Hot sauce.
Really?
Yes.
Now listen, I
yes.
just want you to know, people are going to see this and say, okay, she's pandering to black people again.
Okay. Is it working?
Before I end this video, let me show you guys some prime examples you may have not heard on the mainstream media that makes Trump a terrible racist, if he is. We'll go through them as quick as we can. The First Step Act. The First Step Act stands for the formerly incarcerated re-enter society, transformed safely, transitioning every person. I don't know who came up with that. I mean, wow, it's amazing. But what this did was shorten non-violent convict sentences for good behavior in prison drastically. Requires the Federal Bureau of Prisons to house inmates closer to their primary residence. Prohibits the restraints on pregnant inmates. And I honestly can't believe that was even a thing. And providing tampons and sanitary napkins to women for free. You know, before I made this video and I was studying this, it didn't even occur to me that women would have to pay for that in prison. Like, you know, what if you don't have enough money, you know? Reduced mandatory minimums and putting prisoners who need it into recidivism programs. These recidivism programs are there so people don't reoffend and go back to prison. We want, at least I want, our criminal justice system to discourage people from going back. Get them into the workforce so they don't reoffend and ultimately make our communities safer. And naturally, of course, that helps black people because they make up a large percentage of our prison population. African American employment is the lowest it's been in modern history, sitting at 5.5% as of 2019. Donald Trump gave a black man, a bus driver, $10,000 before his presidency, mind you, out of the kindness of his heart for stopping a woman from committing suicide and acknowledged his heroism. Donald Trump hired a black man, Dr. Ben Carson. You may have heard of him before, a renowned neurosurgeon. You know, the physician that separated the Siamese twins at the head. That's an amazing feat. To lead the Department of Housing and Urban Development, revitalizing thousands of distressed communities. Like, why do that? You put him in one of the best situations, the best positions, besides education, to help black people. And you know, I have to bring this up. He freed your favorite rapper, not mine, A$AP Rocky, who was imprisoned in Sweden for assault, which, if you watch the video, by the way, I think that guy totally had it coming to him. Just saying. I mean, if he's really racist, I just let him stay in there. I would let A$AP Rocky stay in Sweden. He was facing up to 6 years in prison. But let's not forget the definition of racist here. Not once. Not once. And if you're watching this video, leave me a comment below. Not once have I heard Donald Trump make the claim that whites are a more superior race to anyone, or even infer that. I'd be on board if I could get maybe an inference recently that he did something actually racist. Again, let's not try to change the definition to mean what we want it to mean. But I can show you who did.
We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
Thanks, Joe Biden. It's good to know that one day if I work really hard and I make these YouTube videos and make lots of money, I could be a white kid. Did I mention Mexico isn't a race? Anyways, I hope that taught you guys a little something on what racism is. Maybe give you a different, in-depth perspective. Don't forget to like this video, share this video, subscribe, hit that notification bell to get notified about more of my videos. Right now, do it. Like, do it, seriously. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.